Welcome to 2025, and this is another episode of a Kiwi Hooper podcast, and we have two special guests with us today, Mike Lacey and Linden Moore. Welcome.
Thanks for having us, Davy.
Yeah, thank you. Very excited.
Yeah.
Awesome. So today we're here to talk about NCAA Division I players, the Kiwi players that play in Division I. What has the season been so far, and who's impressed, as well as highlighting some of the things could have happened if it wasn't for injury.
I mean, there's been two obvious standouts, I think. On the women's side, Emmy Shearer at Portland, and on the men's side, Aniwanu at Tait-Jones, who's, both of them are putting up great numbers on successful teams. And, if you look in purely at stats, they are head and shoulders above the rest of the Kiwis. I know the game's not all about stats, but those two have been exceptional.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of Mike there. I think Emmy, especially because she's thinking her last year at Portland, just her growth over time has been incredible. So I think she's definitely stood out to me so far for the girls. And then also, and then going the same with the men's side with Anna Tait-Jones.
The last interview that I did with her early on, she mentioned that she wasn't very highly recruited, and she had to send out tons of tapes out to different coaches and finally find a home. So her role wasn't smooth sailing, and you can just tell she's a hard worker and she does everything the coach asks her to do, and she's been very consistent throughout every single season. If you compare the numbers again, she hasn't changed a huge, but she's obviously having a great season so far. Anything else you would like to touch on about Amy?
I take special interest in Emmy because I remember refereeing her in mini ball a few years ago now. But yeah, she went to Bayfield Primary School in Ponsonby, played mini ball at the YMCA, and I can remember them being quite a noticeably good athlete, even then for her age. And then obviously she progressed through the ranks, went to Westlake Girls, played for North Harbour, won some championships with Harbour. And so I followed her career closely, and it's really nice to see that career coming to fruition in such an outstanding way.
Absolutely. And I believe the last tweet I sent out to shout out to her last great performance of the game. And at the very end, I put in the questions, when will we see her in Torfern's uniform?
She's been in camp, I think. I think she's trained with them. Because I've spoken to her about it, and she said she's kind of been in that mix before, and so she's definitely on the radar. And I would not be surprised, with both of you, that if we see her hopefully in the next couple of years. And especially as we see possibly a transition of the Ferns coming through, depending on what the next couple of years look like with the coaching changes and everything. I would not be surprised if Emmy's name was in there. And coming from, going back to what you guys were saying about her recruitment, it's because wasn't necessarily so highly recruited, but then also of having the help of, I think this highlights the coaches that do help and who do have that knowledge of the college basketball landscape and how to get there. Because she said, I think it was Justine Reed that she was really talking to and relying on to say, like, how do I do this? And then I think she also came like middle of peak COVID too. And so she had quite a interesting start. And then suddenly now to see her basically having her own little, her own group of girls from New Zealand with her. She's just progressed so nicely, both in her game and it looks like her leadership abilities too.
Yeah, we almost forget about that COVID spell, don't we? I mean,
5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, her
time goes so fast.
Yeah, her, Taylor, Dalton, Helen Matthews, those athletes of that time, all sort of in the junior tour ferns together, and they all began their careers during COVID, which must have been so difficult. But yeah, they're all doing well now.
And when you were played Division II in Hawaii first, and then transitioned into Division I in UC San Diego, absolutely killing it this season, career high on almost every single stats. you can see he played with a chip on his shoulder. He's always, like he's aggressive on offense, and he's a pest on defense as well. So, any interesting story about him?
I remember him playing for St. Pat's secondary school nationals. My memory serves me rightly. They got absolutely annihilated by Rosmini in one final, but he was a star player on that team. Played on the end of the Saints bench before he went to college. And as you pointed out, he had a good time in Div 2, and it probably just highlights the fact that it's better to go and play than, and aim high and sit on the bench for a couple of years. And he's really blossomed, flourished into an outstanding player. I had a little look at all-time stats for men in Division I Kiwis before we put to air. And he's already up to sort of number 12 in like a season and a half. He's just past 700 points, so he's going to go past Sam Wardenberg next week. And Sam played 5 years at Miami, so it just emphasizes the numbers he's putting up. The only person who's probably had a comparable number of points in a 2-year career was Isaac Fotu, who only spent 2 years at Hawaii and scored almost 800 points. But I mean, and he's already 700, and he's got all this. They'll hopefully go reasonably deep post regular season. So who knows what he might get 900 points, close to 1,000. He'll be in the top 10 well inside the top 10 of all time scorers for Kiwi. It's just ridiculous numbers he's putting up.
He's a hard worker, and I think he's also a good example of kind of like what Mike said is, you can go possibly, go Div 2, learn a lot and contribute there, and then just by the time you get to Div 1, you do what he did, and he just rose through. And man, it's just like every time I check the stat line after each of the games, like, oh my goodness, like what's he gonna do today in the best way?
Yep, absolutely right. And yeah, like you say, there's multiple paths to D1. D1 is not end all be all. You don't need to be D1 to be developed into a great player. Anyway, you were just a great case, great example of going to D2 and then transition into D1 smoothly. And nowadays, I just want to mention there's quite a few players that actually go into the JUCO route and then transition into the D1 level, which is awesome. There's, like I say, there's multiple pathway you can do. And one person that I know of that I can mention is Kahu Chicher. He's already got D1 offer from Sacramento State, which is awesome. And he's playing really well in Eastern Arizona, I believe, the JUCO. So yeah, so there's multiple pathway. It's not just, if you don't get looked at by D1 coaches or even D2 coaches, don't be, what's the word that I'm trying to think of?
Discouraged?
Yes, don't be discouraged, and just keep working on your game and keep fighting through at a different level. And eventually, if you work hard enough, you will get there.
Probably give a shout out to Tom Beattie, who
Yes.
is only a sophomore at Hawaii. He started about half of their games this season, 15 points, I think, yesterday. I've been a bit thrown out with this wedding. I don't know whether it was today or yesterday. But yeah,
it was yesterday, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. So he's averaging just over 7 points a game, which doesn't sound huge, but he's playing over 20 minutes a game, either as a starter or coming off the bench, and making a big contribution. So he must be really satisfied with how his season's looking. Nick Book is doing well.
Southern Carolina,
upstate.
Yes, upstate.
And that'll be good news for Matt, for the junior Tall Blacks, because he's still eligible for that group. So and again, he's playing good minutes. And then Ben Gold, look at the elite level he's playing at Marquette. I mean, they're number 8, I think, in the country. He's their starting center. He reminds me so much of, or his role reminds me so much of Sam Wardenberg when he was at Miami. He was surrounded by all these athletic dudes, and he was the big white guy in the middle who just sort of held the defense together. Got a great IQ for the game. Big enough to defend, 7-foot centers. And had a 3-point game. And that's exactly what Bengal's got. He's playing great defense, doesn't put up fantastic numbers, but, he either sits there in the high post, pick and roll, and then you can find him in the wing as well, and he knocks down the threes, and he plays big minutes because the coach trusts him. He knows the system. He can implement the system, complements they've got an outstanding team. They could go deep in, the big dance. So they're the only guys, I think. Would you agree that at the moment are absolutely
Yeah, those are probably
certain?
the top ones that I can think of that are, I think, most notable at the moment.
Mhm.
So there are more Kiwis over, but I think those are probably my top performers as well.
Right.
We gotta can't forget Tang Murray having a great season so far as well, and it's always feel good when you know what his talent level is at,
Yeah.
but he's always not playing a huge minutes in his role in University of Virginia because of the coaching changes this year. He's getting looked at, and it's amazing how he got a shout out from Penny Hardaway, who he played. Yeah, he did got a shout out from Penny Hardaway because they were playing against the University of Memphis. Obviously, Penny Hardaway was coaching that team, and he had a great game. And Penny Hardaway said in that interview that he didn't do many scouting reports on him, and he was so surprised on how good he is. And once somebody told him in that interview that he's a senior, he was like, "Wow, that explains it." He's been patient and he's been working on his game nonstop. Even though he doesn't get minute, he didn't get discouraged or didn't go, okay, I want to transfer to another school or something like that. He stick with the same program that he got enrolled in, and now finally he's getting more minutes, and it makes me happy to see that.
I'm happy for him, and he's always struck me as someone who's very composed, and he definitely seemed like somebody who would fit probably what Tony Bennett wanted when he was being recruited, but that's somebody who loves the game and really trusts the process of where he's at, because it's great to see him get rewarded for that time, and you can tell that he's been working behind the cameras and behind everything because he's getting his time now, and it's great that amidst of, because you never really know what coaching changes where that can lead, but it's great to see him getting perhaps maybe a few more looks than what he might have been getting if the original system had stayed in place. So very happy for him.
Yeah, he's another guy who I know well because he came out of Rosmini College, so coached by my son Matt, and such a hard worker. And he's really sat in the shadows, as you say, for 3 years, and he's finally getting his opportunity. He's another one who's never going to put up huge numbers, but he knows his role plays to that. And I think the only trouble is Virginia are not quite the strength they have been this year, and I think they're going to struggle a bit in the ACC. It's a tough conference. They're 1-2 at the moment, and hope you're not watching, Tame, but I feel they're going to be a bottom half team this year and not a contender. So chances of making the national championships, not convinced.
It's great for someone like, I mean, even if they don't go far and we're rooting for them to, go as deep as they can, I do agree they're probably, if they do get into March Madness, it's going to be probably more of a struggle, but March is a time for miracles in college basketball all the time. But regardless, getting that experience, and if we're going to think about it back to New Zealand perspective, someone like him, and he's always been such a professional in the way he's handled himself, really a good role model for Kiwi kids. And just being able, you can play in the ACC too, and even if you don't play super high, again, we're hoping they will, you know, he's getting getting that game time. I mean, that's and playing in one of the toughest conferences in the country is pretty impressive stuff.
I've got an update on Julius because you may have noticed he hasn't played recently. So unfortunately injured an ankle in training. He's ended up in a moon boot, and there's a possibility that he'll redshirt because by the time he gets back to full fitness, they're going to be halfway through conference play, and his chances of then getting minutes are, sort of are slim. So haven't had a as of this week, it's still in limbo, but don't be surprised if he ends up redshirting, which in terms of his development, because he didn't get there to Georgetown till late, that may be beneficial.
Yep. I believe originally he was class of 25 and he reclassed it to 24 and then went straight to Georgetown. I mean, who wouldn't? When you have that opportunity calling, like you have the opportunity to play now in a D1 college such as Georgetown and a Jordan Brain sponsored college. Shout out to Jordan Brain.
I think Georgetown this year are 3-0 for the first time in about 20 years.
Yes.
So it's a program that's really struggled. So he may be there for the start of something special for them.
Yeah, he may be very well part of that foundation.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely right. And it's great that now he's having a great relationship developed with his teammates as well as coaches. And it's a good situation for him. Just redshirt and just be patient with it, I guess. And he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And we can already see some flashes of his greatness in a couple of games that he played. And he was super highly efficient, very limited minutes, but he does what the coaches got him to do. And he did it well, and he's 7 foot. You can't teach height, so
no.
Yeah, and he moves really well. Obviously, we've been watching him closely in the under 18 competition and the NBA Academy games and things like that, and he moves extremely well. And a couple of people that I want to mention just to shout out. They still working in the background. They may not put up a huge number like Zach Riley. And he's been playing with, Fulham. His minutes not jumped up, like his number doesn't jump up right in front of your face.
He's a bit like Tait Murray, I think.
Yes.
He's playing it's not such a high conference standard, but he's playing at a decent level, and he has struggled for minutes, but he's another guy who works really hard. And I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back to New Zealand and has a really good NBL career.
For sure.
I wouldn't be surprised about that either, to be honest.
And also another person that we haven't seen for a while, Mason Whitaker. He stopped playing a few games. He got 6 games in this season, comparison to last couple of seasons where I believe he was injured. He wasn't playing.
The Whitaker family, they not had a lot of luck with injuries.
Unfortunately not, but you cannot deny their talent. The whole family's got a basketball talent for sure.
Yeah, when they're healthy, they're scary good.
Got a shout out to Lauren Whitaker. I've spoken with a few coaches. They all saying that Lauren Whitaker got a great future. Clearly going to be one of the important bigs in Torfern roster moving forward.
Got a list of the redshirters, and it's quite substantial. And I've got a bit of recent news, which Linden will disappoint you, but the redshirters at the moment are Flo Dallo at Portland.
Yep.
And Malika Sami are also at Portland. Malika doing a second ACL, tragically.
Yeah, I saw that is heartbreaking.
Yeah. Charlize Ledger-Walker at UCLA. And then Lauren Whitaker at Gonzaga. So
Ariel?
And Ariel, yes.
At BYU.
Yeah. Bad news, Linden. I don't know whether you caught up with this, is that Kavanagh Lenny has... Is it Lenny?
I have Kavanagh. Yes, I have heard from a very good source of the situation.
She's returned home from
it sounds like it was definitely unfortunate, but glad to hear that. It sounds like she did what was best for her.
Yeah.
And
she was at Montana, yes?
Yeah, she was at Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from the sounds of it, it just didn't quite line up to be what she possibly thought it was, which I know it's not an uncommon thing to happen.
Not at all.
Very common. It's actually happening. Very common.
Yeah, as if they want to come back or whatever. So I'm just honestly, I all you can do is hope that she does what's best for her
Yeah.
and for her situation. I think her family is thrilled to have her around,
Yeah,
and nice to have her back in New Zealand. But from the sounds of it, I think she's still keen to play, and so I would not be surprised if we see her going for Polokai, possibly MBL1, and some other leagues while she finishes her degree back in New Zealand. So I would not be surprised if we still see her, even if the college pathway wasn't necessarily for her.
yeah. I mean, her potential, I thought, as a Div 1 player was extremely high. But
Yeah, she had a high
yeah,
ceiling, I
at the end
think.
of the day, you've got to be happy what you're doing, and yeah, let's hope we see her playing in the Toi League next year.
I would not be surprised if we will definitely see her again. There's yeah, I think she enjoys it, and she's done quite a high ceiling. She's done so well, so would not be surprised. And it's another great example of why He's so great is that hopefully she can still continue playing.
Mhm.
But good on her for giving it a crack and coming over. And yeah, I'm just glad there's another pathway for her should she choose to take that up.
For that being said, we want to touch up on some of the challenges for student athlete that are facing. Homesick is a huge one. Being away from family in New Zealand, we're quite lucky. We don't really have a very, very extremely cold winter and all that stuff. But you can imagine being somewhere in Idaho or Montana. It's
I can't
different.
imagine. No.
It's different. It's different. It's not for everyone for sure. So that goes back to choosing school as well. When you go visit, you see one thing, but when you're actually playing there, it might be a different story. And also the teammate that you meet, and you don't gel until you're actually there. So it's going to be quite difficult with all the other challenges that all combining together. It's overwhelming for freshmen to start in a college. You're going to make a decision that's good for you moving forward rather than just trying to stick it out because sometimes it might not be the best way for you.
Yeah, and you never coaches can tell you something, you can end up in one place. It may just not be what you thought, because a lot of the time you're not going to end up kind of like what Charlize is doing, even though she didn't start at UCLA, but end up in the big city like she did. I mean, there's no guarantee that you're going to do that. Chances are you probably won't. And let alone at 17, 18 years old to go over in a completely new environment, I have so much respect for them because
Sure.
New Zealand is so far away from everything, pretty much. Like, I just can't imagine. You'd have to have a new level of emotional maturity too if you're gonna undertake that. And you have to really want to do it. And then, especially, someone like Lauren, you come over and you're injured, and it's your first year. I mean, that's just a whole then you add a whole different layer on top of that, and it can be a lot to deal with. So, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like those challenges, they're certainly very real, and then you have to get used to a whole new team. And I feel like that's why the redshirt year can be so beneficial, is you can take
Absolutely.
that time to figure out the team, gel, and also you have the academic level, which can also be very different. So there's a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah. Yeah. But with Charlize, though, we just want to quickly touch up on her with red shirt because obviously, if with her red shirt, she will have an opportunity to have a crack again next year in the season, which is great for her. Being in LA, everything well, by the look of it, everything's been looked after very well for her, and she's still able to practice with the team, travel with the team, and all that. And so she will have all that experience under her belt. So it'll be very exciting to see what she does next year. WNBA draft thing's been throwing around for a long time. Everybody knows that she's one of the most likely person to be drafted next. It's going to be a good situation for her because the next draft is pretty guy heavy, right? Like you got Paige Becker, a couple of really really talented guys like maybe Haley Van Lit who trying to have a crack in WNBA as well. So it's got heavy one. The one after that, she might have better opportunity as well.
And we'll have the Valkyries, Toronto possibly, and
Yes,
then Portland's coming, so
yes,
there'll be more options for her to get drafted, so there'll
for
be
sure.
additional roster spots available.
Yeah,
And that's going to be really good as well. And no doubt, in no matter what happens, I have whatever pathway she takes to the W, I highly believe that she can make it. Whatever that be, ended up on training camp, ended up being through the draft. She can definitely have a crack at the WNBA team and make a huge impact.
Anything to add on, Mike?
No, I mean, I think she'll be frustrated because, I mean, they're number one, aren't they, at the moment? They're unbeaten and ranked number one. So, there is obviously the benefit of sitting out this year that you've outlined. But, it must be, when you're a player and your team's doing so well and, could go really deep in the national champs. You really want to be out there. But, it's great that she'll get another year, and we'll see at her best. I mean, she'll hopefully be fully recovered, and this year she would probably have only, at best, she would have only played half a season. So, we'll see.
It looks like she's also been doing some cool stuff off the court, like going with different brands and stuff, and actually helping, like engaging with young women and girls in basketball. And you can see, like, I saw a really nice post about her, just saying, like, if you look at these photos and it's her with girls and she's just engaging with them, and like, look at the way she engaged with them, they're automatically captivated. They look up to her. She's just kind of built for that kind of thing. And so it looks like she's been making good use, even though that'll be incredibly frustrated. I mean, I know on social media it's such a curated thing, so we're probably not going to see that frustration, but looks like she's been able to continue her legacy, even though we're not seeing her, probably during what is a very good run for them. But yeah, next year, baby. Next year's the year.
Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting year next year. There's going to be so many players coming in as well. And for that, I just want to touch up on who are you most excited to see next season. Can be boys or girls. So, for example, like Tait-Jones going to Wisconsin, and we got Oscar Goodman going to University of Michigan, which is a great school for him as well. Who else? We got Troy Pumptrees going to Cal Poly. Cody.
Xavier.
Yes, Xavier. Oh man, that's going to be tough because that's one of the toughest conference.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. But we'll see how she perform.
Amy Pateman coming to University of San Francisco.
Yep, that's going to be fun. So I'll be able to catch a few of her games.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
What else I can think of?
I'm just saying.
While Mike's looking, quick shout out to Leah Mafua, who I think is at University of Central Arkansas.
Yes,
having a very good season.
Yes, yeah. Jenna Rose, her sister. She's obviously not really on social media at all, but we noticed her number that she's been putting up, and it's been amazing. And she's one of those girls that I believe transitioned from a JUCO to Division I school as well.
The other couple of boys I've got listed at the moment for next year are Carter Berg McLean to Loyola. Is it pronounced Loyola?
Yep.
Merriman. Loyola, Maryland, and
Oliver one of the Los Angeles school.
Right.
Yeah.
And Oliver Wilson going to Denver. I don't know much about either of those guys, but those are the guys I've got listed for next year on top of those you mentioned, Oscar, Hayden, Troy. But there's going to be others as well, because if not next year, the year after, because that last year's under-17 group was strong, as you know. So you've got people like Jackson Kiss currently at high school in the States.
Utah Prep. It's a great school for him as well. Everybody else on the team's been overshadowed by AJ, who signed with BYU. Right. One of the number one recruit in the country, obviously, but he's in a great situation, and you can see some of the highlights. With AJ, he was throwing some lobs for AJs and all that, which is great to see. You can see his faces. It's always good to see him. So he's going to be one person to look out for. I believe yesterday another Kiwi signed on to that school as well, the Utah Prep. I don't want to butcher his name, but if I do apologize. Hamza. Zaren. Hamza.
Oh, yes.
Yep. He just announced it that he transferring to Utah Prep from Oak Hill, which is another high school traditional powerhouse.
Hamza's out of Westlake Boys. So he left there at the end of year 12.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to be probably the best year 13 of his year group, but he forego that to go to the States, and for obvious reasons. And so he's definitely a potential Div 1 player.
Nice.
Linden, you'll know that the two Powell girls from.
I was just, Mike, you're reading my mind. I was just inside Ophelia and Rafferty.
Yes.
Ophelia going to, I believe,
Bakersfield.
it is Cal State Bakersfield, and then Rafferty going to Gardner Webb. Two big commitments coming out of Canterbury on the girls' side this year for sure.
We forgot someone, Bailey.
Oh, Bailey!
How can we forget about that? Hawaii.
Sorry, Bailey.
That's going to be so exciting because
Bailey,
3 Kiwi girls on there.
That's going to be so good, because we got Ratoria, Becca, and Bailey coming in.
We know that she's had tons of international experience, just tons of basketball experience in general. It's awesome volume shooter, slash and drive all the time.
Tell us a little bit about the Powell girls, Linden.
They're good. They've definitely developed throughout their time at St. Andrews. They've done a good program down there, down in Christchurch. So they've been able to develop quite well, and they've done, especially Ophelia, gone through. We see her on some New Zealand stuff, and playing reps for Canterbury and things like that. And we see them at some of the other regional tournaments. So they've definitely. I only really got onto them in 2023.
Yeah.
So I haven't really seen them or known them that long, but they're working hard, and it was definitely, I knew it was going to college was a big goal of theirs from speaking to them, and it was kind of just a matter of where were they gonna, feel most comfortable, and probably get the best experience for each of them as individuals. So it's great to see that looks like they've landed in good spots for them. Hopefully it works out well when they do come over. But they've been I've seen them both 3-on-3 and 5-on-5.
Nice.
So they can play big roles, and I think they were definitely big pieces of St. Andrews going to secondary school nationals.
Shout out to Adam Morgan.
Yes, Adam.
What he's done.
Yeah, Adam is, man, like what he's been able to do is just talk about, he's just a good guy, but he really cares about not only just the New Zealand game in general, but then the time he puts into the girls, and that he's able to, has the stuff on the side, and it's really great to see him get the opportunity to coach with Judd and run the Mainland Eagle stuff and do all of those things, because you can see that he's really helped contribute a large part, to see why we're seeing some of these both girls and boys down there doing so well.
Another person to shout out is Quinn Clinton.
Yes.
Former SMC Gals player.
Yes, he is.
Played with Danforth too. Doing an amazing job in coaching, and I won't be surprised one day he's going to coach the Tall Blacks. He's just that great of a coach.
He seemed like he's a natural fit, and is just such a good fit for coaching. So love to see him getting those opportunities, and taking that experience from college and putting it back to coaching if that's what he wants to do.
Well, that's another thing about pathway, right? Like, you don't have to get huge minutes, and you don't have to be a starting point guard, starting player to be able to further your career. And he's a great example, because he wasn't getting a huge minutes at SMC at all, but he sticked it out and finishing his college, and ended up coming back and become one of the top coaches of the New Zealand. So so that just goes to show that there's multiple pathway, and you don't have to be basketball player per se, and you can still be involved with the game, but just in a different way, and be successful at it.
It's nice that there's opportunities down and around too to get for him to be able to step into that. And I think down in Canterbury where he is, it's going to be a good, definitely a good foray into it, and they're going to benefit heaps from having him around, no doubt. So there's a lot of basketball knowledge going on down there between Adam, Quinn. There's a lot happening.
Dangerous. Christchurch is dangerous. Auckland need to step up. Wellington need to step up.
We see oftentimes, we see the Auckland schools, Auckland reps, Christchurch, Canterbury, they all kind of come through. And they I think they've got a lot of basketball knowledge there, and I think, that's kind of where it's centered. Wellington has done some great stuff, and, there's plenty of other amazing people around the country who have got the knowledge and are really propelling their programs, but, at the end of the day, I think, those bigger metropolitan areas are gonna have that tip, because they have those types of people accessible to them. Love to see
Absolutely.
more of them around the country, but it's great that New Zealand has them, and, yeah, they're just doing heaps for the game, and it's great to see.
Before we move on, there's another person I can think of I want to give a shout out to is Tafara Gapari in Maryland. This is I believe, is his fourth school, I believe.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
But he's getting some highlight reels in ESPN and everything, so which is great for him, although if you comparison to the number, it's very similar to what he's done so far, but I believe he's getting more playing time in comparison to previous years, and he's in a better, I guess he's in a better position and better situation for himself right now. That team could go deep in the March Madness as well, so you never know. And when your number get caught up on, you never know what's going to happen. And he's one person that extremely athletically talented. You can just throw up the lob, he will catch it.
Do you think Maryland are going to be strong enough to get an automatic pick, or are they going to have to win their conference?
They will have to win their conference.
Yeah.
I believe the last few years they weren't extremely strong, so I guess they will need to win their conference. But I believe they have a really good team right now, so
Right.
I'm not surprised they're going to get in. So, well, we have a lot of girls in D1 right now. Taylor Dalton, it's amazing to see her get back onto the court and put up the numbers. We all know what she's capable of. She's the defensive piss that you hate to play against with, but you would love to have her on your team. And Gonzaga is such a great team, and I believe they're 2-0 in their conference right now, all 3-0. So yeah, she's in a great situation, and Gonzaga could go far. I don't think I ever not seen Gonzaga in March Madness.
They've done pretty well.
But it's going to be tougher this year, don't you think? That West Coast Conference is, I mean, you don't normally get any automatic picks from that conference. It's only a mid-major. But you've probably got, I don't know, St. Mary's, Tait-Jones started strongly. Portland, last year's champions, tournament champions. Gonzaga, last year's. Washington State have joined that conference, haven't they?
Yes.
And San Francisco have started strong. So, if you've got to win that conference, it's going to be tough. But let's hope it's one of the three teams with Kiwis in. I don't really mind which one, as long as we've got some Kiwi interest. So, yeah.
That's usually how I go. If there's a Kiwi, I'm going to be happy.
Yes. But it's tough though when you watch when they play against each other. You're like, oh, who am I rooting for? I kind of know all of them,
Yeah.
That's when it all goes out the window. It's like we're all playing for New Zealand at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I watched the Portland St. Mary's game, and what Taylor brought to Gonzaga was a reflection of what you just mentioned, Davy. Like tough defensive, an organizer, great teammate. She scored in double figures in that game, and but she's not a huge numbers person, but she just brings those intangibles that coaches love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mentioned Tait-Jones before, just in the second year at St. Mary's.
Not gonna lie, I'm still getting used to seeing Taylor in a different uniform.
It is a bit odd. Yeah.
It's almost going to your arch rival and you put on that uniform, you're like, that kind of look weird, It's like I don't know. It's like LeBron wearing a Miami Heat uniform and then now Lakers. It's just such a shame that Lauren's not playing. It would be awesome to see those 1-2 punch on the court at the same time. Obviously Taylor's most likely going to be her last year, so we might not see that happen. But you never know in the future in conference. And Tait-Jones obviously does some amazing stuff. But that's the thing with the three-point shooters. She's not just a three-point shooter. She's much more than that.
I found St. Mary's a hard watch last year. They sat in that zone virtually the whole of the season. They weren't particularly athletic, and maybe that's why they were in the zone. But they're it's much more enjoyable watch this season. Maya seems to spend a bit of time with the ball and a bit of time sort of the two guard, averaging double figures a game, and only in her second season. So you think that she's going to be a stalwart of that program for
a long time, for sure.
There's no doubt she's got such a high ceiling. She's gonna play a very big role, I think, in the next 2 years. And if we're seeing what we're seeing now, then her promises, because she, like you said, guys, she can do so much, and she's not just a shooter. So looks like she's really finding her place in that program, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some other big things coming from her soon.
Agreed.
100%. And Mike, I know I want to quickly address your comment from before. Last season's very hard to watch, which is understandable because they had the coaching changes, a sudden coaching changes.
Yeah, that was strange.
Yeah, it's tough for the new coaches trying to figure out a system that fits and where everybody's what the chess pieces is that he can use. And this season, clearly, he's figured it out better than last year. Can we talk about Hawaii?
Rebecca Moores has got a few more minutes recently, and and then Vittoria's been starting at center. So
yeah, she's been doing really well.
Yeah,
for freshmen, definitely.
She's definitely she's got such a composure about her, though. I mean, because even at the Asia Cup in 2023, they just threw her in against China and she held her own.
Yeah,
which was, I still can't believe we'd have to watch that happen. But not surprised if she can hold her own against Honju, then of the WNBA, then college. It is a leap up for sure, but there is no doubt that she can handle it.
Yeah. And you can tell the way that she moves on the court as well. She just looks like a seasoned pro, not some freshman just come off.
She's gifted.
Yeah.
Would I be right in thinking that there'd only be a mid-table team in that conference at the moment?
They are 1 and 2, yes.
Still, it's nice that we got two freshmen there and both are playing minutes. So, as we've discussed before, it's quite often the freshmen end up warming the pine, don't they? So, for them two to be out on court is making their mark is really encouraging.
And also we got Olivia Williams in the UCI.
Yep, they're in the same conference.
Irvine won their conference last year, but Olivia was injured.
Yes, she was
redshirted last year.
Yeah.
But they look like they're a team that will go deep at the championship again. So fingers crossed for Olivia. She's started the season pretty well. Another player is averaging double figures, starting every game.
I feel like we're finally getting to see what we've been hearing about for so long now. And I think now it's just finally coming to fruition. It's a joy to see her, finally get to just go out and do what she does. And I see a lot of highlight reels coming from UCI of her. Rightfully so.
Davy, you went on a bit of a spying mission when the Dolphins had their camp, didn't you? And
yes, I did.
I mean, I think I recall you commenting at the time that Olivia impressed you, and I mean, she was only in there as a sort of training player, but you felt she got a bit of game that could benefit the Dolphins. So tell us a little bit about what you think.
I mean, that goes back to you can't teach size, right? She's 6'1", and she moves very, very good. Like, she can play guards and if she wants to, but I believe she's a wing. As soon as she steps in the half court, she can shoot from anywhere. The team aware that she can shoot three, they will come guard her closely, and then she would just blow by you and score. And that's a lot of times you can see her not afraid to touch the paint. She got post moves, she got set shots, and as a coach, you would love to have someone like that on your team. Go back to the camp. Obviously, she's one of the standout, and the reason why she couldn't go to Mexico with the team is because she have a prior obligation to the school, so she has to go back to school instead. Another person probably would have definitely gone to Mexico was Maya Jones. Obviously, she had a bit of an injured. Her back was injured, so she has to go back to school, and the school telling her she's not allowed to participating on the tour, which is fair because you don't want to be jeopardize your whole season. So you need to get her recovered, get her right for the season, and which shows right now, and she's doing great.
Another good example, Fairleigh Dickinson and what Coach Gately is doing. She really understands how to coach Kiwis because Lily is flourishing over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she's been very consistent as well.
Almost 9 points a game and has started every game this season. They've only played one game in conference and won that. So fingers crossed they'll have a good season. Because she went to junior college for a year. She's another one who started in JUCO.
Yeah.
And now she's in her second season at Fairleigh Dickinson. Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of freshmen who've done okay. Shaughnessy Nordstrom.
Yes.
Cal Baptist. Izzy Pugh at Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
Mackenzie Chatfield.
Yep, Kenzie.
She's doing great at Western Kentucky.
Potentially a really good player, I think, but didn't get much love last year in her freshman year, but is getting a bit more this year. Had a couple of really good games, but as I say, her minutes are really inconsistent. So I don't know how that affects a player's confidence.
She mentioned that she's feeling good. She's in a good place comparison to last year, and she's making the most of it. So that's what matters, I guess.
Oh, Brigitte Schuler?
Schuler? He's one of those examples of a talented player coming out of New Zealand who perhaps doesn't quite land in the right spot and struggles for opportunity. Prior to this season, she played 25 games in 2 years. And then she's had games this year when she hasn't played, maybe because, as you say, she's had a bit of an injury issue.
Lily Taylor?
Yeah, because she's transferred, didn't she?
Yeah, to Iowa State.
Yes. That school's gonna go deep in the March Madness for sure. But then when you kind of behind the shadow of their center,
and Iowa State has historically some really good brilliant program. Because Ashley Jones, who just recently won the Tohi title with the Phi, she's a product of Iowa State. Honestly, I mean, I don't know what's going on in the state of Iowa, but they know how to produce some basketball players because both the University of Iowa and Iowa State are both excellent programs.
So Lily, she's sitting behind Audi Crooks.
Oh, yeah, and Audi has been, she had a standout year last year.
It's very hard to overcome when you have a player that put up numbers like 29 points a game and 33 and 28, 22. It's like, I mean, of course, as a coach, you will go with the best options available. Not saying that Lily's not talented. She's extremely talented. And again, you can't teach height, and she's tall. But then when you have someone like that, Audi on the court, getting like double, it's just kind of like...
What year is Audi? What is she?
She's in her sophomore year.
Yeah, she's only a sophomore.
So Lily's going to be fighting for minutes with her for 2 more years.
Yeah, that's a tough situation unless the coach figured out, okay, we can do the Twin Tower thing. And then, like you have like Tim Duncan and David Robinson. I mean, that happened before. And women's basketball, I think it's the height is very important factor. And when you have 2 players, and plus Lily can move, right? Like she moved very fluently. Audi obviously as a center, and she can do incredible post move. But then if you want to run up and down the court, maybe in comparison to some of the other centers, she might not be the fastest. Where that Lily can come in,
Audi's got a great toolkit of skills that, and we can see why she's top class in the country, especially for what she does. But, Lily has shown, down the line, when her name is called, she's ready to go. We saw that last year, and, no wonder, if she wanted to transfer, she could, and she did. So I'm sure she's, no doubt she'll be ready. And if you're going to be competing with Audi Crooks, that's a pretty good person to be chasing if you're going to try and get playing time. So Iowa State's in good hands between the two of them, I reckon.
Yep, for sure. And she was, and when she's entering the transfer portal, she was a hot property. There was a few schools obviously want to recruit her, including BYU as well. So and Aussie Kiwi, Danny Bays in Idaho.
Yep.
Sorry, Boise State, Idaho. Yes.
Yeah.
She's been putting up some numbers as well, and recently I think she got a game that she scored 13.
Well, is Ella Bro as well? Or,
Yes,
I'm
correct.
not sure.
Yes.
Do you pronounce it Bro or Brow? Do you know?
That's a good question. It's something that you're asking the wrong person.
Yeah,
But,
we need some assistance for the listeners on that one.
She's at SMU, Southern Methodist. Yeah. So she started well, but she hasn't played in the last month, and yeah, I'm assuming she's injured, unfortunately. But you guys can't elaborate on that. Obviously, you're not sure, but they're both hurt. Ella Brown and Danny Bays are both sort of out of Queensland and been involved in the New Zealand program, courtesy of their parents' Kiwi heritage. So
Ella, she's played 8 games prior to possibly injured, and she played 27 minutes on average. So she's got good minutes, and 7.5 points per game and 2.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists, which is a great number.
She did play. She did play their first game of this year, 2 or 3 days ago. She got on court. So having missed the whole of November, so hopefully we'll see her play regularly.
Yep. Oh, she play against Cal. Put up 10 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Linden's favorite school. Cal Berkeley.
One of my favorites.
Was that today?
That was Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
Oh yes, that's today. Yes, just recently. Yeah, and she 50% 3-point, 44.4% field goal percentage on the court. So it's a decent number against a great team.
That's good numbers against that quality opposition.
And also, previous game they played against Stanford and they won by 4 points.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Although she's only scored. Well, she only played 16 minutes. Scored 3 points, 1 rebounds, 1 assist. But yeah, it's against Stanford. Anytime you play against Stanford, you win. That's a great achievement.
That'll be worth watching then, keeping an eye on.
For sure. Definitely. Another person, Caitlin.
Burgess. I remember seeing Caitlin play at Rangitoto College. She went to high school, I think, in Utah. Evidently, she moved from
Boise State.
Boise.
Yes.
To be near her home, so she's at Weber State.
2 more girls we got at the Academy of Art in San Francisco.
Yes.
We got Maddie and Kaka.
Div 2 though. Yep.
But they're there and they're working.
You better give a shout out to Waiata Jennings because she's got about
She's
got about 10 million Instagram followers, I think.
Probably the most follower out of all the Kiwi girls.
Absolutely. So you better.
She's done
pretty
pretty well.
Celebrity.
Yeah.
She's not getting a huge minute. It's a great school as well. A great situation in terms of how far the team will go in the playoffs.
Yeah.
December, she had a good game on the 18th playing against, I can't remember which team, but then she played 21 minutes, which is the highest of the season. And she scored 11 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 1 block. So, I mean, that's what she was known for in JUCO when she was playing in Collin.
Because she killed it in junior college, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did.
And she was WBCA 2-year College Player of the Year. A bunch of other honors. Sanka program leading 1,227 total points in her 2 seasons in Plano. So, not bad.
That's reasonable.
Along a host of other things.
Will be interesting to see where she gonna go with basketball. But obviously, she's got a huge following on social media, and she's not lack of.
She's probably got other career options.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
Baylor's a great opportunity, but no doubt. I mean, I can always count on some content from her, at least at some point throughout the day.
Yes.
Is she an influencer like you, Linden?
Oh, I'm nowhere near her level. I can guarantee you that.
She's like,
But she's definitely, she's very personable on camera, and I haven't gotten a chance to meet her yet, but she seems great and very, she seems to resonate with a lot of people, which is great to see. So I'm rooting for her.
Yeah. And she just recently had her tour firm experience to Tokyo as well.
Oh, yeah, she made the Japan tour, didn't she?
Yep.
The Richardson girls who finished off.
Zoe and Hannah?
Mother or father is American, so they finished, left Westlake, did their last high school year in the States.
Yep.
And they're only in their freshman year.
Yeah.
Zoe Richardson's at Siena College, and Hannah Richardson is at St. Bonaventure. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, that's it. The school is in a really good position. Woj, he was working for the ESPN, and he was the one that brought all the NBA trade news and all the trade talks and all that stuff. Insider.
He was an in-demand kind of person. Mike, I would almost kind of put you guys on a similar level, but as you know all the stuff early about Kiwis, and so I think that's a...
I don't think I'm on his pay grade, let's put it that way.
He's now the GM of the basketball program of that school. So he's bringing a lot of experience and bringing a lot of connections as well for the player that wanted to further their career. So it's going to be a great situation. Obviously, bringing a lot of NIL money. He personally donated to the school a lot of money before he even jumped on in his current role as a GM.
I think that those sort of non-American players, those restrictions been lifted?
No. It's not really an NCAA restriction. It's more like a visa situation.
All right.
So so when you're having that student visa and such, you cannot work off the campus. You cannot work more than 20 hours. There's some ridiculous restriction. We talk to experts and people that in the industry. It's tough for international students to do it because of visa restriction. There is a way around it, and people have been using that option. So even Tafara's done that before, which he came back to New Zealand during the Christmas and shoot contents and commercial for the collective for the college.
The good news for the international students that there is, like David was saying, you can get creative and you can do things and still get your bag and still get what you deserve. And it's great that the schools are offering those opportunities to get that, because international students should be part of it. But there are certainly big factors and contributors to the team. So it's cool too, like, because if they can bring it back to their home country, because I saw, if I recall correctly, I think Tay Murray did some stuff with the UVA Foundation back at Rosmini.
Which is good, like, as long as it's not become a distraction, because it's not for everyone. NIL can be a huge distraction in terms of basketball development, and also the whole politics of the NCAA basketball, and could be quite tricky and muddy water.
I've just realized we haven't mentioned Helen Matthews.
Helen Matthews, yes.
Oh, yes. Shout out to Helen.
Yeah, she's rebounded well. 10 starts, 10 games, 9.8 points a game for Wofford College, who I think, from memory, won their conference last year. They
usually do pretty well.
So hopefully they have another successful year, and keep an eye on how she goes for the rest of the season.
Well, recently her team beat, I don't think it's a D1 college, maybe another level college, but they won 107-35.
Right.
It's like,
that's pretty scary numbers.
Yeah.
It must have been the local high school, I think.
I don't know. I've never heard of that team. I can't even pronounce it. I don't want to butcher it. It's ERSKINE.
No, that can't help you there.
No, and then the next game that they play, they beat a different team for 73-38.
Oh, jeez.
Looks like, so the blowout from with the 100 and whatever that was, it looks like that was a D2 school.
Right.
I live for Ben Gold every time I see Marquette.
Me too.
I always like whenever it pops up on ESPN, I'm like always looking for him. Like, it's just become a custom to anybody who's watching basketball with me now. I'm just like always looking for the Kiwis, and so usually everyone's like, "Oh, she's looking for somebody from New Zealand, most likely."
Yeah, next
I'm like,
year is
yes,
going
and
to
you
be
should be too.
University. Oh, 100%. Next year is going to be fun watching University of Michigan.
It's a good cycle too because we've got New Zealand NBL month or two break, go into Toihi, and then we go back into college basketball, and that takes us throughout the majority of the rest of the time. So it's
Yeah,
great because we get to see a lot of Kiwis in action at all levels.
for sure.
I totally agree. 12 months a
Yeah.
year.
We can't complain about that. And if we sprinkle some tall blacks and some tall ferns in there,
Oh
man,
yeah.
that's just a bonus. We're sweet.
Oh
Beautiful.
yeah. Any final thoughts of anything about college basketball? for
Go
the Kiwis?
Kiwis.
Yeah, go Kiwis. That's my, for the players who got injuries at the moment. That's fingers crossed for those guys who make a full recovery and we'll see them back on court next year.